The quest to increase storage and countertop area in your kitchen is a valiant one. These are two things that my clients mention the most in design consultations. And two great ways to make this happen in your kitchen is the ever popular kitchen island and its formidable opponent, the kitchen peninsula. But which one is best for your kitchen, and how do you even figure that out? I'll do my best to break down these two options in this video and tell you what I chose for my new kitchen. Now, I honestly think the best way to figure out any design layout, whether it's an island, a peninsula, or whatever, is to have a designer draw these options for you so you can see them and talk through the possibilities. I'll tell you how you can work with me to do just that, but first, let's break down the kitchen islands and the kitchen peninsulas to see if we can sort some of this out. You may be designing a kitchen for your forever home. You also might be trying to do some renovations so you can sell that home sooner than later. And regardless of why you're designing a new kitchen, having a kitchen island is a very popular design element. It's a great feature if you're trying to sell, and it's a great feature if you want to stay and actually use it. Now, if you follow me at all, you know that I am very much into function. This whole channel is about kitchen function and trying to make it the most accessible, usable, user-friendly, functional space in your home. And islands add an increased level of function to your space. Not only are you gaining more countertop for food prep or entertainment or just putting down a cup of coffee, but you're also gaining increased storage capacity. Usually, if there's a countertop, there's some kind of storage underneath that countertop to allow you to add more storage capabilities to your kitchen. Or maybe you have a specific need like a stand mixer or a pull-out garbage bin that would fit perfectly in your island. Or just having someplace to sit in your kitchen for company or just yourself when you're home with your family, sitting around the island while someone's cooking, chatting, playing games, sipping coffee. The island really helps facilitate this. And because of an island's placement within a kitchen, it creates a really great workflow of accessibility. With an island, it gives you multiple points of entry into the space so that the person who's working within the kitchen triangle area does not have to be interfered by someone who's trying to get to one of the appliances or the sink. It creates better flow in the space. And better flow in the kitchen contributes to a better overall experience using that kitchen. When I was growing up, all the kitchens were basically in their own room. There was the kitchen, and then there was the dining room, and the living room, and the den. All these things were separate rooms and had separate functions. As time progressed, and as I got older, I noticed that all these rooms started to merge and amalgamate into one big room. And thus we really seen the birth in the last 20, 30 years of the open concept kitchen. And islands are very open concept friendly. They allow you to still have a full functioning working kitchen with all the counter space and storage you need so that all these living quarters in the space can be connected and contribute to the overall social aspect of what kitchens are today. Now, this does not mean that you need to have an open concept kitchen in order to have an island. An island still works great in a kitchen that is a closed off space. You just have to make sure that it fits within that space proportionately and that it adds to the function instead of taking away from it. Oftentimes in a very large kitchen, it is easier to fit an island in. In a smaller kitchen, there just has to be a little more thought put into it. Not only is an island open concept friendly, but this factor also helps you to create more design options for that island. Where the island used to be a rectangle or square piece in the middle of your kitchen, you're now able to add design elements to your island to make it very unique and incorporate other things into it, such as a seating area other than just an overhang with stools, but a whole seating area, dining area for your kitchen, for your family. Or maybe you want extra storage, or maybe you want to add a bookshelf, or whatever it is you want to incorporate into that island. The sky is really the limit because you have the space in the open concept and you have the ability to design these things whichever way you want. If you can think of it and draw it on a piece of paper, it can likely be built, and that's really great when thinking about the options for your kitchen island. Not everyone has a massive kitchen that they can fit an island into. Now, generally speaking, the bigger your kitchen is, the better suited it could be for an island. And not because you can fit a bigger island, it's the fact that you can make sure you have proper clearances around that space so that the island works well with the rest of the kitchen. One of the requests I get all the time is for an island to be as big as possible. However, you do need to be careful not to create a bottleneck within that kitchen so that you decrease the function overall. Now, you could still have this issue with a big kitchen because you can put an island in there that doesn't fit that space either. But generally speaking, the bigger your kitchen, the more opportunity you'll have to make sure that you do have proper clearances. My advice to you, if you have a smaller size kitchen, is to really make sure that you pay attention to the clearances around that island and that you're okay with them being smaller if they need to be and if you and your designer agree on that. You'll generally want to stick to the NKBA guidelines or the guidelines that are within your country because they've been tested to be the most efficient. But that doesn't mean that it couldn't be more efficient for you to have something different. So talk through that, think about that, and do a little research on that yourself when you're designing your space. Oftentimes, if you're remodeling your home or remodeling your kitchen, you have certain limitations in terms of what you can remove and what needs to stay. You need to be sure that you still get a functioning kitchen. Adding an island could be difficult because of the constraints you have with what you're able to do with the overall structure of that space. Sure, you can knock down a wall and insert an island, but is that going to be the best case scenario for your kitchen? Is that going to cause other problems? There might have to be plumbing, there definitely has to be electrical, there's a lot of things to consider. And this may be where you discover that a kitchen island is just not in the cards for you. Maybe a kitchen peninsula would be a perfect choice. I can help you discover this with a personal one-on-one design consultation. There's a link in the description of this video. Having a second set of eyes on your kitchen plan is a great way to make sure you're getting the kitchen that you've been dreaming of and are planning for. Now, if you have a smaller kitchen or you have remodeling constraints due to the structure of your home, the Peninsula is a great choice because it works well in smaller spaces. Generally speaking, if you put an island in a kitchen, you need 42 inches of clearance to get around that space. 42 inches of counter space and storage that you can incorporate into your Peninsula, because you don't need the clearance. And you're not going to really lose a whole lot of function by adding a peninsula. Peninsulas are also very functional for the same reasons that islands are functional. It gives you more counter space, it gives you more storage, and opportunity to create special use cabinets for specific things like appliances. You are still able to add seating to a peninsula, given you have enough depth behind it, and you can still add a lot of storage on the back of that space. So you get all of the benefits of an island. It's just attached to other cabinetry. Now here's an interesting anecdotal fact that I made up. Peninsulas are really the ancestors of what we know as the open concept kitchen. Now definitely if you're a baby boomer or a Generation Xer like myself, you will remember the U-shaped kitchen that had a peninsula with hanging wall cabinets over the top of it. And behind this was usually the dining area. These were very common in modern day homes of that time. And what started to happen as years began to progress is people began to take away the wall-hung cabinets and open up that space so that they could have a more open concept kitchen. They didn't necessarily call it an open concept. They just knew that they wanted to see everybody who was sitting in the dining room while they were in the kitchen. They used to do this by adding glass doors to both sides so they could kind of peer through the cabinets, but that really wasn't cutting it. So they begin to knock down those cabinets altogether. It became a real trend. It became something that led to us having this more open concept space. And from there progressed to knocking down walls and other areas of your home so you can really see everything that's going on. Now, for better or for worse, I don't know. I certainly do love the open concept, but this is where, in my opinion, it all started. Thus, the Peninsula is very open concept friendly. It allows you to have a very functioning working triangle within your kitchen and interact with whatever else is going on outside of that space. It's easier to be involved in the conversation if you can see what's going on. Uninterrupted workflow is a really big deal in a functioning kitchen. And sometimes by having a peninsula, you can interrupt the workflow because there's only one point of access generally into the space. And so if someone needed to come into the kitchen, they're all coming in from one direction. Many U-shaped kitchens that have a peninsula are designed in such a way that the main traffic flows outside of that area and the space within the kitchen is big enough to incorporate more than one person. But just be aware of that when you're adding a peninsula to your space, that you think about workflow, where appliances are placed, and how the peninsula is going to affect that. And because a peninsula is attached to other cabinets, it generally creates a corner. Now there's ways to remedy this, and there's ways that you can make this more functional. One way is, of course, to add storage on the back of that corner so that it's blocked off inside the kitchen, but you have extra storage on the back of that. And I would agree that that is a great way to do it because the space is there, you might as well use it if you can have easy access to it. But not all peninsulas need to have corners because some peninsulas can be attached directly to a wall and come off straight from that wall, almost creating a galley-style kitchen with an island/peninsula feel. This is exactly what I did in my new kitchen of the rental property that I purchased. I was not able to put in a kitchen island because the space was just a little bit too small. It felt too cramped. So adding a peninsula coming off of one wall was a really great option. Created a lot of storage and a lot of counter space, and it doesn't include a corner cabinet, which to me is a real great benefit. You could have the option of going with a peninsula or an island, and both could be very beneficial. And I think it's important to really think through for your kitchen what's the best for you, and not just go with an island because you think it is the best. Is it actually the best because you've ticked off all the boxes of what you want and how it functions? I think that's really important. To make sure you have a functional kitchen is the number one goal, and having a peninsula might get that for you. Having an island might get that for you. Depending on the size of your kitchen, you could have a peninsula and an island. I mean, the sky's the limit depending on the size of the kitchen that you have to deal with, but generally for a lot of us, we have smaller to medium-sized kitchens. We can still add peninsulas or islands and make the space functional. If you decide with peninsula, you have to know that it's attached. It's permanent, it won't go anywhere. But you can get solutions for islands so that they are movable if they need to be. Sometimes this is great in a smaller space because that island can be against a wall somewhere else, functioning as a storage cabinet, and it can be rolled into the main kitchen, functioning as more of a prep surface when it needs to be. This is done all the time and is fairly easy to do by adding lockable casters or buying a unit that is already on wheels and can roll around. Is it the island or the peninsula that's the right choice for your kitchen? And remember, no matter what you choose, if your kitchen is not functional, you're not going to be satisfied. This video was designed to help you create the most functional use for your kitchen.